Dug from the core of the earth, metals have always intrigued humankind. The hands shaping it in different forms of utility and art. Amongst the other precious metals like gold, silver, copper has been a tested player since centuries, with a prestigious journey spanning thousands of years. And the music plays on.
It seems like gold. Copper was one of the earliest known metals to the mankind. And the period goes to the 10th millennium BC. We do not know whether it was smelted at that time, but to be precise, the earliest occurrence of copper can be found in Iraq in a form of a pendant, which goes back to 8700 BC. Because then for about 3 to 4,000 years, we do not come across any occurrence of copper in the history of mankind. After 4000 BC, you start coming across major usage of copper. Ancient civilization that used copper most profusely was China. Right from Tang period, Shao period, China has a great tradition of making bronze vessels. Greeks knew copper, they called it salkos. Then Romans knew copper. They mainly found it in Cyprus Island, and that is why it was called Cyprum. Then it becomes cupric. In India, it was called shamam. And it seems that from 3rd millennium BC, the Indians were aware of smelting copper, where you can see that the metal was being smelted almost in the same fashion the way it is smelted today.
Traditionally, copper has been used to shape objects. Its illustrious lifespan standing as a true testimony of times. The eternal wonder metal combining form and function.
We need to revisit the historical use of this material and bring it to contemporary usage. And you know what is evolution? Evolution is basically what was there and with a new environment, what you can create.
For those who use it, copper inspires the same fire and fascination.
For me, copper is a very living and alive metal.
I think it's extremely versatile.
It's got a great color, sheen. It changes colors when it is used externally. And I like it.
It's like mood and the color. That is like a human mood. Like you, from different angles you see it, from different light, in different seasons, it visually gives you a different appeal.
It's sitting there waiting to be used, it's malleable, it's friendly, it looks rich, it looks warm.
When it's clean, it's very warm. The minute copper ages and becomes green, so it has a very cooling and that age look to it.
And there is one piece, this only goes off when you have one. I, as an architect, I'm looking at it only architecturally and how it is used in buildings. In buildings also, it is used for hundreds of years, and it today, though it has a lot of competition through other new materials, but it's, I would say, one of the materials which is so well tested.
And historically, copper has always been used. Right? The roof of the Pantheon, for example, is in copper. The doors of Santa Sofia are actually copper alloys, massive, huge doors. Old temples in India always used copper as the roofing.
The countries where it has been most prevalent and been used quite extensively are in Europe and America, US. These are pretty cold countries, and copper, because of the intrinsic properties of being a very good conductor of thermal heat, so it's been used there in facades, it's been used in their living rooms, it's been used next to windows and doors.
The This film shall explore the use of copper and its alloys as an element of design and architecture in contemporary times. The professionals of this field recounting their valuable experience.
Materials are never looked upon as this is a particular material, but more as an element of design. When we start classifying or not declassifying materials without its function, costs and characteristic, but as pure form or as pure texture or as pure sensuality of what it kind of projects, then the sense of that material is very different. This is actually supposed to be a duct for pipes because we have and then the duct had to look pretty because it's right in front of my deck, so I decided to put copper around it, and it's kind of worked. Again, unconventionally, the toilet comes right in the front. We wanted it here because it allows a lovely vista of the green above, and Aniket has done the landscape and he's made some lovely beautiful water fountains at the back in front of the dining space. And then we've got a whole window facade on the north side which attaches the smaller portrait to the bigger portrait, and there's a lot of little bits of copper has been used there. So a lot of playful use of copper all around and keep popping up.
It's a material that can be used just about any which way that one wants to use it. So from making a little door lock to a massive roof to cladding a building to whatever that you want.
The extensive use of copper in and around this house lends dignity and grace to the structure, giving it a distinct identity.
I mean, it's got a brick wall at the back. It's got a concrete wall, yeah. And the reason being that you cannot just make a wall out of copper, an external wall out of copper. It requires some backing material, whether it's wood paneling or concrete. In this case, it's concrete. So a lot of experimentation was done to come up with a suitable fixing system. And the copper was ordered at a copper mill in Mumbai to make a special 12 feet by 9 inches wide copper sheets.
Within the house too, a special copper room has been designed, where the metal is used as an element of structure as well as interior design.
That these materials lend a certain aesthetic just by its own nature. You don't have to do much to it. So, which is a very, for us, it's one of the unique qualities of material. So this is for the client, for the same person, it's his office building, and this company essentially is into metals, and they have large copper mining in Congo. So their sort of entire structure of the company is built on the manner in which they deal with different metals. So this office building is called the Alchemist's Abode because it's a metal company. And we intend to use many different kinds of metals in this office building. Zinc being one of the primary ones. The entire building is going to be clad with zinc. But in the atrium, there are going to be extremely large, livable boxes, which some of them are going to be conference rooms, some of them are going to be entrances to the actual office building, and so on and so forth, which are huge copper boxes. So some of them are copper, some of them are copper alloys, some of them will probably be brass.
Once you have worked on this metal, then that's where the journey starts. That's where the addiction starts. That's where you start enjoying working with it.
We have started with smaller elements and small murals and stuff like that, but now in future or the project which we are coming up with, wherever we are thinking to use copper in a major way in a facade, like one of the building which we have designed recently, and we found it, we have placed copper in a way that it should be in the east and west facing facade, whereas morning sun rays, when it is falling on the copper, it will give really amazing copperish red and tempting kind of impact, and it varies throughout the day.
They travel from my lift and they approach my cabin. They are really, though the clients are really excited and they say, I like something like this. patinated plates which I have used for the boxes of this residence, they say in a length of 10 feet, I have used almost 8 plates, and all 8 are going to be different through the aging. So imagine I'm using 8 plates of copper. One is say aged 5 years age, one is 8 years age. Through this acid etching and this patination, all 10 or 8 plates are of different age, and that variation you cannot achieve through any other material. When I started using it, it was only for some lamps or some brackets or some hardware. Then for all these plates, I started using it for my shutters and the facade, which fascinated me, and I understood that it's a timeless material.
This timeless quality of copper demonstrates the versatility of this metal, which, like the eternal phoenix, is reborn, stronger and richer each
It's
time.
completely recyclable. I mean, even 50 years, 100 years, whenever they want to move out, it's like, old gold. Copper is an upcycle. So, it doesn't deteriorate it's a very big, a lot of other recyclable sort of materials. They're downcycling them all the time, break them down again. And they become lesser and lesser and lesser as it goes on. Copper, you upcycle it every time. So in that sense, its reuse value is amazing.
See, today you have to understand one thing, that there are many more materials that are in the market.
Sure, there is always an issue about why do we have to use copper when we are used to using so many other things. So what's so great about trying to get copper in? So I've had people resisting as clients, but my argument is that there's so many other things that cost just as much, which you're spending on anyways.
There is a mental sort of position that you need to break.
Yeah,
but the fact is that it's a myth.
Yeah.
Because you're the client who's using the most expensive, for a house that's using the most expensive marbles
flooring.
And the faucets and the most expensive lights and so. Compared to all of that, copper is the cheapest in which happens in the book. So.
Eventually, any metal which appreciates. So a facade where I have used say 50 lakh rupee of copper or a 20 lakh rupee of a copper, instead of that, if I am using any tile or any finish which is maybe half the cost, but once it is used, the facade cost is gone. But here, if this material is used, say after 20 years or 50 years, the client is going to get the appreciation in the material which is used.
Having explored the commercial side, copper manufacturing units like this one have now ventured into new vistas.
Copper is very good for the environment. I mean, all the products can, once be bought back, they can be reshaped, resized, reinstalled anywhere. So yeah, copper is one thing that gives you a value for money. That is a semi-precious material and is very good and classy in nature. One of the best qualities of copper is the fact that it is internationally proven to be antimicrobial in nature, which basically means that if any pathogens sit on the surface of copper, copper would kill it within 2 hours of contact. It would kill 99% of the pathogens at least. Now this makes the copper surfaces antimicrobial.
Sculptures and art objects made with traditional designs from copper and its alloys continue to fetch appreciation and revenue from national as well as international markets.
In India, people are still little apprehensive of using copper in a very, large scale. Here, the minute you speak of copper and brass, the best they can think of those idols and jhulas or murti. That is where I'm trying to break off. It's the same medium, but your way of expressing can differ. And that's what I'm trying to do here. I mean, I'm using the same traditional metal, but I'm using it in a very modern way. Certain periods have actually caught my fancy. For example, Art Deco, Art Nouveau. Art Nouveau is very fluid, very delicate, whereas Art Deco is very geometric, very straight lines and very solid. But yet they both have their own beauty. So you can do a lot of intricate jobs in that. Such kind of intricate job manually, because whatever I do is all done by hand. I don't like using a lot of machines, because machines, one, is good for mass production, which I don't do. Machines in a way kills the soul of your art, work of art. We do use machines, but minimalistic. Nature is the biggest teacher. You learn everything from nature. So I think this is the best place that I could ever be. Every artist, I think, has that comfortable zone which he arrives at after a certain period of time. He keeps on exploring that. Probably he can keep exploring that throughout his life. Or probably to a certain period of time, and then he can come back to another comfort zone of his. The reason is because, one, you have to have a very good paraphernalia. Second, you have to have a good strong backing, a support system, because metal is such a subject that just a single person cannot do. You need a team to it. The material is expensive, so investment is pretty high. That's the reason I said that all this has not happened in just 1 or 2 months. It has taken me more than 20 years to reach here. You go to China, Italy, Dubai, all worldwide, divert that sort of money over here so that our industry can flourish. We are capable of doing things, but it's just that people don't notice us.
Right from conceiving the design to manifesting it is a journey by itself. The fabricator playing a key role in concretely shaping the designer's dream.
I think it's also a matter of learning how to handle it. So if you have a good fabricator who understands it,
Technical aspects, they would prefer that something is coming also from the fabricator, so that it also creates an understanding. Okay, whether how much we are able to conceive their drawing. And that's how we, in the very beginning, we are able to say, okay, see in this drawing there are these many problems, so we need to rectify, so this will not take the load, or this is like a disbalanced structure or whatever. We have not handled this kind of a scale from manufacturing, because we have not used anything which is readily available. So everything is custom made. These leaves have got magnet in them. And the artist wanted inner layer to be smooth finish. So we have welded mild steel so that these are magnets and it can be stuck to the. So the challenges were everywhere. How will this be made? Then how will this be transported?
I was actually quite worried when I did the copper table, because it's you don't make dining tables out of metal. Number one, it's also a very strange shape for a table, so you see that. And then I was most sort of keeping my fingers crossed that I actually use it. How's it going to feel?
These kind of sheets are not available in copper, so these are all custom made sheets. And for the size, the thickness, somebody would need is around 5 mm, because all the edges are welded, otherwise it would warp. What we did was we used 3 mm mild steel, which is below this, and copper on top, and then we made a lot of punctures and then welded copper onto it to make it thick.
Actually, in normal bending process, you get a sharp point. Now, what we were deciding, why can't we have a radius bending also? Now, the challenge was we wanted to have a radius bending on both sides.
But the fact of the matter is that if you want to do extremely large projects and you want to use the material in those large projects, it requires a certain degree of reliability of the manner in which the supply chain will operate. It requires a certain degree of accuracy in the manner in which it will operate. Now, whether the accuracy is done by hand or whether it's done by machine, now that's a different story altogether. But the fact of the matter is that it needs that supply chain. Really, at the end of the day, they're doing a CAT 5. That CAT 5 is going to a CNC machine, and the CNC machine is just manufacturing it to precision in some part of the world. It's shipped and it fits perfectly. So, unless you have that quality, and I'm really not going saying I need the machine or I need the human hand. The great temples are done with human hand. So I don't have a problem with whichever way it pans out, but it needs that kind of organization.
What best we can facilitate is we can locate, we can identify city-wise specifically who can be the people who can supply this material in terms of the alloy which is required for the fabrication work. So that's what we have done.
The reason why we have issues and problems is because people are not aware where do you source it from. Who are the people like you who can actually deliver a right product or a right concept to them?
A proper contractors or a proper mechanism or proper companies come up with the overall solution. There's a huge potential in usage of copper.
People actually who are having some idea or who have worked with copper should be brought together. Maybe we form a council or an association, and then these people should become ambassadors or voice it out, particularly if they want to grow the industry that they are in. I'll give you a small example.
Ashley, who is leading this program from ICPCI, he looked at it how best it can be addressed. We organize workshops. We even looked at National School of Planning. We looked at IIT Roorkee Architecture Planning Department. We looked at even IIT Mumbai, where we engaged copper artists, we call them, Gaurav, who took these students and the future architects, showing how from the design it can be fabricated into a particular style.
To popularize copper, to present it in its full glory, it is necessary to bring it within the creative radar of young minds, to merge the professional experience into the realm of academic field and knowledge, molding it, feeling it, shaping it, where seeds sown today would hopefully yield fruit tomorrow.
Today, it's a time of multidisciplinary approach for addressing any issue. And institute-industry partnership is always considered where the technology which industry or association can bring in, and institute where the new ideas can come in.
Really want to promote the material in the country. I think it would be very interesting if whoever wants to, so let's Copper Council of India, whoever wants to promote the material sort of picks up 5 artists, 10 architects across the country, and say that look, you guys anyways like to use the material, you've got, your aesthetic is the sort that you would want to use this material. So over the next few years, we're going to support you in terms of making sure the material is available to you at very, very good pricing or whatever. Sort of incentivize that whole process and sort of be there whenever there's any sort of problem, so that in 10 years or maybe 2 years or 3 years down the line, you have about 10, 15 interesting examples in the country, whether it's architecture, whether it's product design, whether it's interior design, whatever it is.
You just collect 15 to 20 students from different disciplines and work together, you can develop a lot of products. And this kind of model, they have been explored all over the world, and I think we should explore for these traditional materials to create new usage and new applications.
Copper, yours ever after.